right, hi friends. Today we're going to be making a fall wreath that has some texture that you can feel with your hands. So we're using one of our five senses, touch and feel, in our project this week. So if you want to do a wreath just like mine, I will tell you what materials you need. But of course, as always, you can use whatever materials you have available. So for this project, I need a piece of paper, a piece of plain paper, and I chose white, but you can do the same project with any color of paper. And then I have some sheets of a very thin paper. It's almost like a tissue paper. A tissue paper would work really well if you have some leftover wrapping paper. If you just have colored pieces of paper and want to crumple that up and glue it on, that would work too. So you can do a bunch of different things this week to add some texture to your art. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to ask your grown-up if you can use a pair of scissors. And if you want to ask your grown-up to cut this out for you, that would be awesome. But we're going to want to cut out a ring shape or an O shape out of our paper. And here's how I like to do that. I like to fold it in half. And then if you are using the scissors yourself, remember that you're cutting away from your fingers. You're cutting away from your body and not towards yourself. That's dangerous, right? We want to be safe. But the first thing I do to cut out a good circle out of my paper is I fold my paper in half down the middle. And then you can either draw a half circle and follow along that line, or you can just go in with some scissors and do your best to cut out a half circle. So I'm cutting along these lines, cutting out a half circle. Again, if you want your grown-ups to help you with this, that would be really nice. And you don't want it too tall, your half circle. So I'm going to trim mine down a little bit until I get a size that I enjoy. And then when you unfold your paper, you're left with a circle. It's like magic. So I'm going to do one more step before I get to gluing on my pieces of tissue paper. I'm going to fold my circle back in half, and then I'm going to cut a little circle out in the middle so that I end up with a donut shape. And this is going to be the base of our fall leaf wreath. I'm going to fix that circle a little bit. I didn't do my best job making that even all the way around. Okay, so now when I unfold my paper, I have a donut. That's perfect for my wreath, okay? So I'm going to unfold it. If you are choosing to glue down pieces of paper or tissue paper especially, because we're going for a really crumpled look, you'll want to use liquid glue instead of your glue stick. Now if you just want to crumple your paper and then unfold it and glue it down, you could use a glue stick for that. But if you're wanting it to stay kind of crumpled and textured, you'll want to use liquid glue. And when we use liquid glue, we only use one single dot. I'll show you how much I used here on my finger. And I'm squeezing, I'm waiting for the glue to come down in the bottle. Sometimes we have to be really patient with our glue. Give it a shake. Okay, so this is how much glue I'm gonna use for each piece of paper. It's just one dot, not a lot, okay? So just a tiny bit of glue. If you use too much glue, it's just going to turn your tissue paper or your colored paper into kind of a gloopy mess, and we don't want that. So I have these pieces of tissue paper, and I personally am using these warm fall colors. So red, yellow, and orange are the colors that I'm going to use for my wreath. But of course, you can use whatever colors you want for yours. They don't have to be fall colors. And what I'm doing is I'm cutting out little squares out of my paper, out of my tissue paper. And they don't have to be perfect squares. We're just trying our best. This part you could probably cut yourself without any help if your grown-up says it's okay to use scissors. So again, look at me. I'm cutting away from my fingers. My fingers are way over here. And then when I go to cut this way, I'm turning it. So I'm still cutting away from my fingers, away from my body. I'm being really safe. I'm going to start with an orange one. You can start with any color you want. I'm going to lay it flat in my hand and then watch. I'm going to crumple it up. And then I'm just going to unfold it just a little bit so it's still really crinkly. And I'm going to put 1 dot of glue on my wreath. 1 dot of glue. That's enough to glue down my piece of paper. And I'm going to take my crumpled piece of tissue and I'm just going to press it into that glue for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make sure it's really stuck down. I'm going to count to 5 for myself. And you can see it's really crumpled and fun looking, almost like a fallen fall leaf. So then I'm just going to go around with all my different colors, crumpling up my paper, unfolding it a little, doing a dot of glue. So I first did a layer all the way around the outside of my wreath shape. And now I'm going back in and I'm filling in this ring in the middle. So you probably want 2, maybe 3 layers of rows of tissue paper going in your wreath. Otherwise it's going to look a little bare and not quite as nice as we want it to. So here I go. I'm going all along the inside. All right, so now that my wreath is all full and it's just how I want it, you can see that this has a lot of different senses in this wreath. So the first one is obviously sight. We can see all the different colors. We can see a texture to our paper. The next one is feel. So we can put our hands on it and we can feel this great texture with our hands. The last one is hearing, because if you listen really closely, the tissue paper crumpling, and it almost sounds like we're crunching leaves underfoot. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun gathering your materials and creating your texture sensory wreaths this week. We can't wait to see what you create. Bye!